Hello everyone, welcome to Friday Live. My name is Ashley Hay. I'm the importer of Powertex for Australia and also an artist. So I am very excited to be here with you today, and so just let me know you're here. It's really lovely to see who is actually on the live, so let me know. So today we are going to be talking about using beautiful coloured fibres and fabrics with transparent Powertex. So what I thought I'd talk to you about is I thought I'd feature some of the geisha that we did many years ago now, but the really nice thing is, of course, this weekend in Australia is Mother's Day, so we are celebrating our mums. And if you have seen the post during the week of what's on my art table, you would have seen my mum's beautiful geishas. So I thought I'd show you them alive as well. And then we're going to talk about fabrics and fibres. So let's just take a look at one of these. So they are just absolutely stunning. So what I love about these geisha is that they just have so much character. And so, you know, Mum goes into giving them all sorts of elements that she says the sculptures speak to her and tell her what they actually would like to be doing or what they'd like to be wearing. And so, yeah, so she has an idea while she's working on one and then moves on to the next. So she hasn't done art for a little while over the last few years, and it's really lovely that she's actually getting back into it at the moment. So she does do a lot of theatre, and so I actually feel that the theatrical element that she loves, the costume designs, the head, headwear, all of that, it comes out in these sculptures and also in her painting. So celebrating my mum today, and I hope that, you know, you all remember to celebrate your mums if they are here with us still, and make the most of spending some time with them while we can. And for those of you who no longer have your mums, I'm thinking of you this weekend, and of course you probably yourself might be a mum too. So look after yourself and get creating. It's always wonderful. So that's that one. And I will just be talking about the different sorts of fabrics and fibres that we've actually used on these. So she did these, she started them in a workshop with me, and then she went home and put all the extra elements in. And so we did a seated one, we did a standing one. Her standing geisha is also really gorgeous. So let's just take a look at some of the fabrics. So you can see that, you know, the Powertex has taken better to some of the fabrics than others. These sculptures are 10 years old. So I'll just see if I can zoom in on this other camera here, and then that way you will get a little bit of move this one out of the way, a little bit of a clearer picture of what is actually you know, the details, I think. So there we go. So there she is, gorgeous geisha. So I think that gives you a clearer picture. I think you can see the fabrics and fibres a lot better. So it's really lovely. I'm sure we've all got a stash of fabrics and fibres that we've kept for a special day. So maybe this weekend is your time to pull out some of those beautiful fibres and fabrics that you have and actually go, okay, you know, what can I actually do with them? So tassels will take the Powertex, so she has coated some of this better than other areas. Your shiny materials will kind of resist the Powertex a bit more. Mum has actually collaged other fabric actually onto the red fabric. So she's actually cut out these elements and she has actually collaged that onto the actual sculpture. So, and the back I just love the attention to detail that she has. So she was inspired by China and a visit that she had over there, which is just gorgeous. Alrighty, let's take a look at this other one. So this one has a mandolin and is absolutely gorgeous. Now you can see that this fabric actually hasn't worked as well with the Powertex. So it's not hardened as much, so it's still a little bit crinkly. So it would have resisted the Powertex, but it's actually hard enough for the purpose of what she's actually done. And it has lasted, it still looks gorgeous. And so she, again, has done attention to detail. I remember her saying to me at the time, Ash, how can I make a mandolin? And I said, Mum, you're just going to have to work it out and do it with some cardboard, carve it out, you know, paint it up. And that's what she's done. So she's got some, I think she's used a bit of styrofoam, and then she has added some paper just on the top there to give it a nice smooth texture, and she has added fabrics and fibres on. So, hey everyone, so lovely to have you all here. So I can see Three Hearts Art Studio is here, so lovely to have you as always. Denise from Happy Scrappy Bug in Harvey in WA, welcome. Anne, welcome all the way from Canada, lovely to have you here and watching, and also Nina from Kansas. And Robin, it has been a long time. So take a look at the beautiful detail as well that is again on the back of this. So just that attention to detail is really, really lovely. So again, you can see some of these fibres are quite soft because this fabric here would have actually resisted the transparent Powertex. Now, when you are using the Powertex, you can actually dip it, or you can paint the Powertex on. So you don't have to always dip it. And when it is one of these sort of special fabrics, you'll actually, if you know, put it into the Powertex, it might come out clumpy. It might have too much Powertex on it. So if you want to control that a little bit more, you can just use a damp brush and actually paint your fibres and fabrics. So hey Marissa, lovely to see you. So that is those ones. So I'll just put them aside, and I will show you some of the fabrics I use. So this was one of mine, or is one of mine, and so it was done sort of around about the same time. So I've used some really lovely cottons, which I'll show you shortly, and then some just plain fabrics, t-shirt material, of course, which we talked about last week. So if you did miss last week's Friday Live, it was all about my favourite fibres and fabrics to actually use with Powertex. And of course, t-shirt material is one of those. It's my go-to. And then you can actually add the embellishment with some of the, you know, more other beautiful fabrics that you have. So sometimes actually doing like an underlayer, dress layer in the t-shirt material, which you know works really, really well. And then dressing it up with the elements of like your ribbons and your coloured fibres and fabrics and all that beautiful bling that you guys have in your stash. I know you've got it there. You can actually, you know, do extra little bits and pieces that actually make them a little bit special. So hey Anthea, lovely to have you on here. So let's take a look at one of the standing ones. So again, I think you can't see her very well. I'll just go on to here. Okay, so you can see her a bit better like that. So again, she's got ribbon in layers over some more silky material. Now, this fabric here I'll show you what that is in a minute, but you can see that, again, the Powertex sort of resisted this particular fabric. So what you will find is that anything that is more absorbent is going to work really, really well with the Powertex. And so really just test your fibres and fabrics. So pull out your stash and find what you love, and then use that beautiful fabric with your Powertex Transparent to add details and to really make your pieces really special. So you can see that actually taking the time to add those details really makes a difference to your pieces. So yeah, let's make sure that we are doing that. Alrighty, so let's take a look at some fabrics. So I've got a box here, which actually has, I'll just put her down. Hopefully I don't knock her over. So this is a little bit of a bling box that I put together from my stash. So of course my stash is bigger than what you can see here. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these. So of course, wouldn't this be absolutely gorgeous to use with Powertex Transparent? However, look how shiny it is, and it's kind of got that, it could go sort of wet and dark looking with the transparent. So if you are unsure how something is going to look, I usually suggest to do a test. But in this case, I would choose which side I want to have up, because of course, look at this beautiful reverse side. That's actually really, really lovely as well. But I would look for the more absorbent side, and I would be putting my Powertex maybe just on one side and really working it into those fibres and fabrics. So, but that is just stunning. So I found a bit of a stash of that. Now, this one actually worked quite well. So it is actually more of a cotton. So it's more absorbent. It's going to take the Powertex better. And look at that pattern. So I have got a girl that I have used some of this fabric on. It did get a, hang on, let me move this. Okay, so you can see there that that is that same fabric that has been used. So actually putting on other elements can make the fabric really look quite different when you start to layer up the elements. So the secret and the key to a really, really great piece is to actually play with your layers until you're happy with the feel and the look of your sculpture or your canvas and the dimension that you've got on it. So that's that fabric. And then, of course, there's all sorts of other things. This is going to take the Powertex really well. I'll move my box away. So this is going to take the Powertex really well. You can see it's really, really absorbent, and that is going to work fabulously. With your silks, you will find that your silks kind of darken. It's probably one of my greatest tragedies, and is that the silks kind of go crinkly and wet looking, and they kind of darken. But if you have a fabric that you love, try it, see what happens. So I will do a couple of samples. So of course, all these beautiful silk sari ribbons that you get, that was what I tried, and you know, some of them just darkened down. Your more absorbent ones may be going to work a little bit better, which will just be testing your colours and testing your fibres and your fabrics. So I was a little bit disappointed. I will show you that. But of course, there are so many other possibilities and other fabrics to use. So this is actually more of a cotton, a more natural, well, silk is very natural. But what I found with the silk is that, you know, it just didn't look as nice as some of the other fabrics and fibres. So I tend to avoid silks, but, you know, you can actually do some tie-dyeing. So, like, I know that all you textile artists out there have beautiful fibres and fabrics that you've coloured up. How special is it that you might have, you know, your natural materials sort of put onto your fabrics, and then you use those fabrics and fibres to create your sculptures or artwork, so that you've got the original, you know, the fabric that you have actually created. Alrighty. Now, who hasn't got a stash of beautiful things that they have got from different places? Now, you can see that the tulle is very, very, oh, it's got green fibrous stuff on there. You can see that it's very plasticky looking. And yes, you will find that any of your fibres and fabrics that actually, you know, are plasticky will resist your Powertex. So, but still try it. Anthea made a beautiful vase on a Pringle tin, which looked like it was tulle that she had used. It's actually really awesome. Anthea, you should pop that in the Powertex Creative Hub this week, because it was definitely the Cinderella effect, where it went from an ugly tin to really something quite special. This is a gorgeous piece of fabric, and I found it while I was just preparing for Friday Live, and I went, oh my goodness, look at that. So it's actually, I would probably want to leave the natural look of this fabric. So if I was using this, I would probably paint the inside of the fabric and just really work the Powertex into the fibres with a brush. And then, you know, I can always seal it with Easy Varnish if I want to on the outside. But sometimes so again, test it, test what works, what will give you the effect that you like, if you're unsure how to do the application. Okay, these fabrics are, if you recognise this one from her. So you can see that the fabric did go darker, and so, you know, with the Powertex, but it actually looks really, really nice. So this worked really well, because these are cotton, and so they take it, this fabric actually takes the Powertex really, really nicely. So again, you have the choice. You could actually massage the Powertex into that fibre, you know, cut it and put it to the shape that you want, and then actually drape and drop it and place it onto your piece. Or you can do what I said before, paint it on the inside, and then you can paint some on the outside as well as you're putting it onto your piece. Remember, if you are adding bits to your sculptures, that it's always, the rule is always sort of wet to wet. So you want to have Powertex on the area that you're actually joining anything to, as well as on the actual surface itself. So Anne's just asking to test what the fabric will look like after the transparent has been added. Dip a piece of your test fabric in water. Yeah, perfect. That is a really great tip, Anne. So she's just saying to dip it in water, and you'll get an idea of how your fabric will look after it has had the transparent Powertex added to it. So definitely, yes, easy test. And of course, it is fun to actually test things with the transparent as well. And what I always suggest is do something small. You know, do something that is like a fabric brooch, and have a play with lots of different textiles and see what works and make notes on what works. So that's a really great thing. Now, of course, you can use wool as well with the transparent Powertex. I actually really like using wool. Again, this one goes quite dark, but I've got so many favourite bits of wool where I've just bought a thing of wool and I've tested it and I've gone, oh my gosh, look how fabulous that looks. So you can use wool as well. And as you saw on my mum's piece, she had used some fringing. But again, your fringing is quite shiny, doesn't take the Powertex very well, but quite often it will actually have like sometimes it's got like a more natural side on the section where the fringing joins to. And so in those areas, that's where you can really add your Powertex into so that it really works into the fibres and fabrics. So if I was working with the fringing, I would try a couple of different applications. So I just get a small bit and then I would dip it and I would rub it in and massage it and put it onto a test sample and then see how that comes up. I would try leaving some of the fibres natural because, of course, on your sculptures, you don't always have to have it coated. You might want some natural elements. Like feathers are beautiful on your sculpture, but if you put Powertex on your feathers, it absolutely ruins them. So you lose all that beautiful colour, all the bits kind of stick together, and that's where I make faux feathers. So I'll have to do a faux feather another time. But I really wanted to highlight the possibilities and really encourage you guys to experiment and try different things because we all have really wonderful things in our stash and we keep them and stash them away. But how much nicer would it be to pull them out this weekend, have a play, and maybe even get creative with your mums. Have a play in the studio and have a play date with your mums this weekend. So I'm taking my mum to the theatre, and so we're going to the theatre tonight and then we're going out for lunch on Sunday. So I'm really looking forward to that. So tonight we're seeing Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, at Manpack in Mandurah, and I'm really excited to see that. So, so Nicole's just saying Powertex feathers are fun. Absolutely. Now, you can see with this fabric, this one is actually very shiny, but on the inside of this very shiny fabric, let me just see if I can find the end here. This is a bigger piece. Okay, see how it's more natural material on the inside. So that's where I would definitely be working the Powertex Transparent into the more natural side and leaving this side sort of more with the shiny look. So you can test both, and it depends on what you're going to do with your sculpture. You know, if she's going to be inside, then obviously, you know, it doesn't matter as much. You want the fibre, you want the fabric to harden. But like I showed you with Mum's, one of the, you know, this fabric here is still, you know, kind of crinkly, but it is shaped and it is hardened, and look how much detail she's put into the folds. So, and then again, you know, you've got your tassel piece here. This is just stunning, and she has dipped this bit, so you can see it is actually harder. So Narissa's just asking, would I brush it on the natural side? Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I absolutely would be putting the Powertex on the natural side. But you can also put it on the other side, and that's where really testing your fibres and fabrics is really worth doing. Especially, you can test on a sculpture because or on your artwork, because if you don't like it, you can always paint over it, you can take it off, you can change it, you can add things to it. So don't be scared. Just hop in and have a play. And have a play with the possibilities and see what happens. Hey, Kat, lovely that you're here. Thanks for watching. Yeah, so if you have missed the beginning, I've just been talking about lots of different fibres and fabrics this week to use with Powertex Transparent. Okay, so I like I said, I love these, and we'll take a test of, I have got some transparent here. We're already half an hour in, but if you want to stay on and play for a minute, we can have a look at a couple of these. So, yeah, I've just got a little bit of a board here, and I've got some transparent Powertex. Get rid of some of my fabrics over here. Oh, I didn't bring gloves. Oh, well, I'll get dirty fingers and then my computer will be a mess. I have got a damp cloth, thankfully. Yay. Okay. I did have gloves here. Oh, there's one. The things you find on your art table, right? So one is better than none. Okay, so let's just take some of this. I'm just going to pop that in there. Now, what I can do if I don't want to dip it like that, like it's quite a quick and easy way to do that. But if I want to make sure that all the fabric is covered, I can actually pop it on one end, hold that end, and then actually bring it down the string. So I do that quite a lot when I'm working with more stringy things. I'm kind of liking the clump. So I'm just going to coat the clump, massage it in. So you can see I'm just working it in. Like I say, I'm going to have dirty fingers on one side. And rub off that so that I can touch my computer. Okay, so now we have that. We can also, we want to, you know, add wet to wet. So this doesn't have any Powertex on it, so I'm just going to put a bit of Powertex straight onto there. And this is just an old board that I actually had prepared for plein air painting, but it can use anything. Okay, now if it's a little bit hard to move around, just add a, you know, dampen your brush off with a bit of water, and it will move around more easily. Okay, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting it across all the edges because we're just playing. So I can then just add that, and I'll show you how next week when we pop back on Friday night, I'll show you how it actually worked and how it dried. So I'm going to do it more light. I don't really want to have it going across that little section there. I've only got my really lovely fabric scissors here next to me, so I definitely don't want to use those on this. So I'm going to create a little bit of a sort of horizon line through there if you like. And just pop that on there. If you find you're sticking to your bits, because of course what happens is the Powertex dries on your hands, what you want to do is you want to just use a tool so that, you know, otherwise what happens is you start to pull off the fabric onto the Powertex that's on your fingers. So keep your hands dry and clean. Is a good tip, and then also quite like that coming down there. I don't like that. And the great thing with fabrics and fibres, of course, is you want it to fall as naturally as possible. Okay. So that's probably going to dry all right. You can see I've missed a bit here. So I could just get a brush and touch back into that. I can also, once that's dry, I could put some more transparent onto it once it's holding in place. But of course I can manipulate all of this to be really lovely textures, or, you know, push it up a bit more, give it more dimension, turn it into more of like a rosette shape. So the possibilities are just fabulous. It's just looking a little bit too much in here, so I'm just going to take that bit up onto there. Okay, so Powertex Transparent, that is on the sari silk, and you will find that some colours will work better than others, but, you know, just play. Shall we take a little bit of the tulle? That's where I've got my fabric scissors. Now, sometimes what I like to do as well is I like to put the Powertex on the surface. So we'll do that. And then you can actually just, you know, lie that fabric down. Just going to let that overlap off the edge. And then you can paint back into it. So I can actually, doing mini ones like this are kind of good fun, because you can treat it like a collage. So this is where, you know, you could make easily, like, you know, 6 to 10 samples in a day when you just play with layers. And then you can look at them the next day and you can go, okay, what layer do I need to put on that? What's worked, what hasn't? What do I like, what don't I like? And the only thing that I would say is, if you're not used to working with colour, it is much more complicated to work with coloured fibres and fabrics. So if you are not used to working with colour, then for really successful results, just work with your natural fibres and fabrics like I showed you last week, and use a dark coloured Powertex and then embellish it, and you will get beautiful, beautiful results. So next week on Friday Live, I am going to be showing you how to use stockinette. So stockinette is an absolutely beautiful fibre, and it is available from any of your Powertex suppliers, and it is really gorgeous to work with. But there's a few a few tips and tricks to actually working with it. So as you can see, the focus for May is actually on fibres, fabrics, working with transparent and working with Powertex with different fibres and fabrics. Now, next week we will be looking at some Masai, which of course there are beautiful heads available from Powertex, and of course some of those are the geisha like you've seen today, the gorgeous geisha. The plaster torsos make it really easy for you to create stunning sculptures. Now, what I did want to show you, and I'm glad I saw it, so this actually is Kay's geisha. So Kay Jones is based in Mandurah, and she is a new certified Powertex trainer. And so she has done the most gorgeous geisha. I saw it and I just went, it really spoke to me. And I just went, oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? And what I loved about it is I love the kite and the fact that she's holding this kite. So of course the kite is on a wire, but it just gives it the most beautiful, whimsical feeling. So if you live in Mandurah, of course, Nicole and Kay have just had their studios opened for Open Studios in Mandurah. And, you know, so if you miss that one, look out for it again next year. But I know the girls would be very happy if you wanted to come and have a look at their studio, have a look at their artwork. You would just need to make an appointment time. And of course, they are both running workshops, as are all the trainers around Australia. So if you need a little bit of arty inspiration, connect with those. And I'll talk a little bit more about how you can connect with a trainer near you next time. So I hope you've enjoyed that today. So just a couple of recaps. So of course, you know, our tips from today is to pull out your gorgeous fabric stash and use them to make something beautiful. So let's stop stashing the stash and get it onto our artwork and use it to inspire us to create something really gorgeous. Your natural fibres and fabrics absorb your Powertex more readily, so that is going to, they are going to work really well. So I've talked through quite a lot of those natural fibres and fabrics. Nicole's just saying, of course, always excited to have you join us at Three Hearts Studio in beautiful Mandurah. So, of course, the other thing that I've said today is make sure you're testing your materials on small samples to see what works. And you can do some really gorgeous canvas art just in small samples. So that one that I've started collaging today, I'm just looking at it and I'm going, how big is it? It's probably about 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres. And then, of course, next week on Friday Live, we will be using stockinette with Powertex. So that's all just a bit of a recap. Of course, please share what you do this weekend with me on the Powertex Australia Creative Hub, or if you've got some beautiful geisha or some really beautiful sculptures that you've already done using some of your gorgeous coloured fibres and fabrics, please post them in the Creative Hub. We'd love to see them, and then we can ooh-ah over them, and we can all be inspired by each other and learn from each other. So that space is a really lovely space. And of course, you will find lots of content on YouTube as well. There is heaps and heaps of free content there. And as always, go to the Powertex website if you go to the Powertex website if you're in Australia for your products and bits and pieces, or find a trainer near you and they will have some bits and pieces that you can get from them as well. So I'm so glad you've all enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me. It is my absolute pleasure to share with you on Friday Live. I always love it. I'm excited about my weekend. I'm planning to do a little bit of painting tomorrow, so we'll see what gets done. Alrighty, so thank you for joining, and I will see you next week on Friday Live.